If you're tired of not making progress and you're ready to be the artist you know you're meant to be, you're in the right place. You're listening to the Singer's Path podcast. The Path, or Performing Artists Training Hub, will cover everything, including singing tips that actually work, advice from top industry professionals, and life-changing mindset shifts. Out with the starving artist and in with the thriving artist. I'm your host, Sarah Bishop, professional singer, actor, educator, and entrepreneur. I'm not afraid to speak the truth and stop the gatekeeping of quality information so you can actually become the artist you dream of being. So let's get on the path, shall we? Even though we're all on our own journeys, it always helps to have a guide. Hello, and welcome back to the Singer's Path podcast. It's me, your host, Sarah Bishop, and I am here. I actually am recording a few episodes back to back, so I'm a little vocally tired. We're gonna be using our radio voice because I've already been yapping for over an hour. And I'd like to say, in my delusional headspace, we're going to keep it short. We're probably not, because that's just not who I am. It's not my authentic self to shut the fuck up. So I'm going to be probably a little long-winded again. But today, I kind of want to uncover one main topic with you today. And that is, what are like the levels of singing? And how can you like self-identify what your level is? Like, I think I have some clients come to me sometimes, and especially like earlier in my teaching when I was like teaching just 40 hours a week level teaching, I had all kinds of levels. I still teach all levels, but I have people come to me and they're not really sure where they fit or where they are in their journey as singers. I might do another episode. Maybe I'll weave in some acting because this can actually be paralleled to acting as well, I think. I don't know so much about dancing. I feel like I capped out at dancing at a certain level personally. There's probably many other levels to dancing that like I just never even touched. But I know with acting has these kinds of similar levels. So we're going to kind of peel those back today and see where maybe you fit. And again, I'll probably have to do some of these. I'll maybe recap some of these episodes and make them to put in YouTube form with a video. So if we really like this episode, make sure to let me know. I'll say this off the top of the bat. I have a couple things got to get out of the way first. If you really like the show, make sure that you leave us a 5-star written review. That helps us get this out to more people. And plus, if you leave us a review on the podcast, and maybe even if you're listening and you have some of the other products you have Discover, you've done group lessons before, you've had Pillars, you have Advanced Mix, you have any of the things that are paid or even the freebies, and you leave us a review or a testimonial, you email it to us at singerspath@gmail.com, we will enter you to win a free lesson. And then I haven't gotten into a swing of how consistent that drawing is, but we just did it in the fall. Maybe towards the end of winter, we'll do another drawing. I'm not quite sure yet, but once you enter, you stay in the drawing. So you could win a free lesson at any time when you give us a testimonial. Okay. So that's something to keep in mind. If you love this show, make sure you do that. I'll probably say that again at the end of the episode. And one other thing I got to plug right off the top of the bat here is from the time that you're listening to this right now, we are taking registrations for the Singer's Path group lessons. Okay, so this is different than the Inner Circle that I've been talking about for the last month here. Inner Circle is a membership that focuses on that like mental, emotional, kind of nervous system aspect, that neural reprogramming aspect of returning to really loving your voice and loving singing. And it's really about bringing somatic practices and those kinds of things into your self-care routine as an artist. It's also that Inner Circle is about community. That is a membership that's a community that any kind of artist can. When I'm talking here about the Singer's Path group lessons, these are group voice lessons. Okay, so this is specifically singing. And if you follow me, you listen to the show because it's called the Singer's Path podcast. Again, I'm on live right now doing this. If you're watching this and you want to come back, really go listen to the podcast. I talk about all kinds of stuff. But the group lessons that are currently available for registration, they're literally called group lessons. They're singing lessons, okay? And I just need to let you know there's only a few spots left in class. And that's because most of the students return because they really like them and they're small, they're intimate groups. One reason people, are hesitant to return in the winter, especially if they're pros, is like that audition season. They don't want to get overwhelmed. But I do have to say, this is actually the perfect time to be in group lessons. I really hope that they find the support they need to support them through auditions. But like, if you're listening to this and we're coming up on audition season, this is the time to get into group lessons because you'll already be in the practice. Like, you'll already have class to come to every week. So say you do get that big audition, you could just come in and get it coached right there. You've already paid to get it coached. You're already in the system. You're already, in the space to receive that support. So winter group is really important for really nailing your auditions. And then practicing in front of someone else before you go in the room, right? You can get it coached with acting too. Like we can like vocally coach it, and then we can make it performance ready. So this is the most valuable time to get in group lessons. These aren't your average group lessons. Everybody sings. They're very small. If you're nervous about singing in front of other people, this is the perfect environment to do it because you're learning to test your system, but it's still like in a safer environment. Like, I don't tolerate bad vibes at all. You're out, right? There's none of that. So just so you know, like, it is a safe place. You obviously need to learn to, if you're new, like, you'll get to know the other students in class, but we actually extended class for the last year. It's only been 9 weeks. Now it's 12 weeks. And the reason we did that was because the students loved it so much. They wanted to be in it longer. Because they were like, can you add some class? I had several students be like, I feel like this should be longer. And I was like, okay. So we added 3 more classes onto it. So it's 3 months long. So you can really get connected with people. Yeah. Guys, I always like when I push this stuff, I say this, if I'm going to charge artists, it better be good. Okay. It better be good. So we love this container. The people in there are just the best. And the other thing that I'll say here that I said in the other episode, while registration is happening, is I'm kind of trying to get ahead of what your train of thought is. Because I think the other reason that people might hesitate to join group, even though it might actually be the perfect fit for them, is they don't think they'll have as much progress made, right? Because if you're in a group setting, they think that they're not going to get the individual attention. And I'm on live. I'm so new to you and your platform. You're amazing and helping so many. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I really appreciate you being on the live right now and connecting. That's awesome. I love hearing from you guys. Like, that's why, like, I also, when you guys write a review, like, I love just having you email me. I love seeing the emails. Like, love. Anyway, a big objection. People are like, well, I'm not going to improve as much if I'm in a group lesson compared to privates. And I'm going to be so for real. Like, before I started them, I was worried about that too. Like, it actually took me like a second to kind of figure out how to facilitate the group and like know how to be the leader and set the tone and like how to get it done best. And we learned things along the way. We tried things. We played with class size. We played with focus and eye and integrity. If I'm going to sit down and teach someone to sing, like some of these business coaches that I've been going to wanted me to have something that's called like a scalable offer. So like something that can expand that I don't need my attention and focus on. But here's the tea. I think you can tell from the live and listening to this podcast, I'm just a little too passionate about helping each person. And I'm a little too much of like a control freak to not, like, if someone is sitting on a call with me and I don't get to every person, like if you ever came to Discover when it was live, oh my God, I went over like an hour. I was way over giving because I wanted to be of service. And when I come on these lives, like I really do try to help people learn so much by listening and being in a safe space, creating art. Yeah, exactly. So like, again, anyway, I overgive and I talk. So when I'm in this group setting, you're going to get individual attention. And we just had someone on the live say, I would say you learn so much by listening. Yes. So that's an added benefit that helps you improve faster than if you're in privates because you train your voice, you train your ears really fast. you do learn from other people, watching and listening other people, and it helps you anticipate problems in your voice that you might have in the future or that you've already had. You go, oh, I've already come that. I see what they're doing. I see that. Or you see what I'm talking about, and then it starts to make sense. Like, oh, like I see what she's saying. I see what she's hearing. I can start to identify and hear it. And actually, if you're picking up on this, I have a passion to train like singers to have the same tools voice teachers have. Because although I don't think voice teachers are replaceable, I don't think they're replaceable by AI. I don't think they're replaceable by singers helping themselves, because at the end of the day, you're still going to need an expert's advice, and that's their livelihood. But there's a middle ground. Like, you should be able to help yourself a little bit, right? You shouldn't be so codependent on your teacher that you can't fucking get yourself out of a hole, right? So another reason why group lessons are so valuable is because you're seeing other people work. And especially if you've ever been part of IVA, if you're a listener and you're a voice teacher, oh God, if you're training to be a voice teacher, that's a no-brainer. A lot of the class, actually, there's a lot of voice teachers in that class. And I said this in the other episode, even if you're not a voice teacher, even if you don't really care about training your ears, even if you just want a place to fucking sing, like, oh my God, like if I'm so for real right now, I had a student on the last live ask if I could do an episode about my journey and falling in love back with my voice. I'm still on that journey. If I'm so for real, if I'm like so honest, I'm always wrestling that. Like, that's why I speak to these, especially the emotional depth of being a singer and an artist, because I get it. Like, I'm doing the same thing. Like, I'm not a fucking guru or a genius. Like, I'm doing the same thing. I just like have the balls to say it, you know? And I think it's important to say it so that we have a sense of community. Studying the voice can be really isolating. Another reason why group lessons are so beautiful, because it creates a community of people that just quite frankly rock. And I was so deeply emotionally moved by watching them improve. And that's what I was saying. Like, if you're not sure if you can improve, I can say 100%, like 110%. These people surpassed my expectations of what I was capable of leading them through. And I think it was because we got the formula right. And we got the container right. And we started treating it what it was, which is a highly intimate, almost semi-private situation with immaculate vibes, immaculate support, and a system that works, that takes the benefits of privates and amplifies them. And it increases the benefits. So part of that, so just so you know, part of it, especially if you're signing up initially and you're new to me, there is a little bit of investment that needs to happen, because Pillars is a prerequisite to work with me in this container. That's part of the reason why it works so well, is that if you have Pillars, we're already all on the same page. You already have all the workouts that you can do on your own. You have the language. You have the structure. And then when you come to class, it's about singing your song. It's about applying. It's about audition coaching. It's about performance. And quite frankly, at the barest level, which is actually the most pure level, and why I wish that I could participate in this space, if I'm so honest, because I'm on my vocal journey, love, and I would just love somewhere to sing that's just for me, where I get to work on music with other people that love to sing, and I get to sing music that they love to hear, and we're all in it together. Like, I'm going to cry. Like, I want that. So as we're talking about these levels of singers and the trajectory that I've noticed from teaching hundreds of people at this point, and what most people end up doing and where they're at different levels, there are multiple levels that can be held in this group lesson space. So if you're listening to about this group lessons and you're like, that sounds lit, but I don't know, am I too much of a beginner? Like, I don't know what level I fit in. Maybe you can only come to one class time. There's 2 class times for a group, right? There's the afternoon pro class, so those Tuesday afternoons, and then there's the Wednesday evening class. Now, if you have a time zone discrepancy, understood, And we also have some students that wake up at like 7 a.m. in Australia to do group. That's how lit it is, by the way. So I'm not going to tell you to get up at 6 a.m., but people do it. So just so you know, you're not alone in that, I guess. Like go later in class. I don't know. Like we dead ass have people that do that, which is, I honestly blows my mind that they do that. But that maybe just an indication of how special it is. And how they keep coming back regardless of that, right? There's only a few spaces left. This is coveted. So if you want to work with me, this is how. Okay. Anyway, I was going to say one more thing about it. I know I kind of talk on and on and on about things, but I just really care about them. So thank you. God bless you if you're still listening. Get to the point. Group lessons are lit. You only have a few days to sign up. Don't miss the opportunity. Don't tell yourself a lie that you don't have time during audition season. This is the perfect season to do it. If you're worried about singing in front of other people, this is also the place to do it. How are you going to get over it any other way? If you're not sure you're going to grow, I get that. I was uneasy too until we figured it out. And now there's like 100% growth benefit. It's actually insane. I've gotten literally emotional on the call seeing the results people have gotten. And it just took us figuring out a system. Part of that system is that there is a prerequisite to pillars. If you don't have pillars, you can't sign up for group unless you can get the bundle. You can sign up for group and pillars, but just know it's an investment. But once you have pillars, you're never going to have to buy it again, right? So, and maybe if it's a little out of the budget right now and you're like, I can't do pillars and group at the same time, that's fine. You can get a payment plan or you can just get pillars and then sign up next time. Okay. Because again, once you hit the prereq, you can sign up and we can work together. Okay. If there's spots, I can't guarantee that there will be. That's the other thing. Sarah, you're going to do this again? Low key, I love teaching this, but we're doing some family planning stuff. I don't know what my health's going to look like. I don't know. I could get a gig. So I can't always guarantee that this is always going to be around too. So that's the other thing to keep in mind. Okay, you have a few more days. Go check it out. Link in bio. If you're able to sign up, it'll be in there. Let's get to the point. Okay, guys, I got to get better at making that faster. I'll get there. And if you're a long wasn't there like, this is really niche. There was this like, I used to listen to these like MP3s that my dad had on like these iPods, and they were like these comedy bits, and they'd be like longtime listener, first time caller. Anyway, if I'm a longtime gabber. So anyway, let's get into the episode. Okay. Longtime Gavin, I'm delusional. All right. I'm tired. This is what happens when I wait till midnight to fucking record. Okay. The question we've all been asking, what level am I? Right? Even if we're looking at this in a group lesson setting, like where do I sign up? Group lessons there's an intermediate and there's an advanced. How do I know what I am? Even if you're looking at my other courses, pillars, advanced mix, right? Pitch and musician, right? And they have the levels on there, but if you're like, well, I don't know what level I am. Like, I don't know what kind of singer I am. Like this is like one of the most common things Googled online. What's my voice type? Who am I? Everybody loves to like categorize themselves, right? Like, I'm an alto, or I'm a soprano, or I sing this kind of music, or this is what I do. There's a type of identity, and I think we can really latch on to identity with our voice so hard. Okay, so I want to kind of go through the levels that I have experienced witnessing as I've taught hundreds of people. Okay, and we're also going to talk about where the focus starts to shift and change for people when they start mastering certain things. So there's this really famous acting class in New York that everybody takes, that I've also taken, that I've continued to take, which is at a studio called the Bob Krakauer Studio. Okay, it's like the class that teaches theater people not to look like theater. Okay, and it's also a really good camera class. Maybe that's something I can do on, well, I don't know. We can maybe talk about basics of camera stuff and like self-taping and stuff. That might be something that would be discussed in our exclusive membership. That's a paid membership. That's called the Inner Circle. But anyway, I'm getting off topic because I'm tired. Okay. So this teacher, Bob Krakauer, teaches this concept of like mental stages when you're developing a craft or you're just learning something. Okay. So there's 4 stages. Okay. There's unconscious incompetence, conscious incompetence, conscious competence, unconscious competence. Again, I'll say it again. Unconscious incompetence, conscious incompetence, conscious competence, unconscious competence. That's the very vague scale, and this is where acting can be such a good parallel. But first of all, the first thing I have to say is people are going to come into singing at different levels based on talent. Okay? Talent meaning they're naturally good at it without fucking trying. Okay? They're born with some level of talent. If they're born with conscious competence or unconscious competence, they're a fucking prodigy. And they're probably not going to have to study a whole lot. Or if they do study, like, say someone like Simone Biles, I'm sure she was born with some talent that initially put her ahead farther than everybody else. Okay? Those are the Kelly Clarksons. They're just born being good. Renee Rapp, born being good. That doesn't mean she didn't study. That doesn't mean she didn't learn. That doesn't mean she didn't figure out how to use her voice in whatever way works for her. Sometimes people are self-taught. Sometimes that works. Okay? Sometimes it doesn't. And if you're sitting and listening to this, being like, I still can't mix and sing the way I want. Well, you probably need to do some training. Now, some of you out there are afraid of getting training because maybe you were born with a really good voice, but you're afraid. Sometimes, oh my God, this is so fascinating. I haven't really taught a whole lot of people like this because they don't come to lessons, but they are born with this conscious competence or they're born with talent, but their whole shtick is that they're born with talent, right? That they're never trained. I'm the talented one who's never trained. I've never had voice lessons. I'm just this good. But then what ends up happening, I do teach them. What ends up happening is like maybe they have some success, they become a pro, and unfortunately, they burn out or they stop getting away with something functionally. They don't always have the foundation to support the athleticism necessary. So they run out of, like, you can't always rely on your talent forever. Okay. The last episode that I recorded, I don't know if this one's coming out first or the other one's coming out first, but was about SOVTs and how athletes lean on them as care for themselves, right? Or training. So like if you don't have any of those tools and you're shit out of luck and you have a show and that's how you make your money, you put yourself in a really bad position. So of course, obviously I'm in team train yourself. I don't think that has to look the same for everybody. I think following your intuition and finding a teacher that really makes sense. I had another student on this live ask if I could do a roast of teachers on a different episode, so maybe we'll do that. I don't know. But while we're selling group lessons, I'm not about to go roast some other teachers because I think that's probably not very tactful. But anyway, so that's the basis level, right? We talked about the different levels of competence. We talked about some stories maybe around some of the more talented people, more of the gifted people, and why they might resist going into training. So those are kind of some oddballs that I'll see sometimes. Most people, right, depending on your level of talent, there's two types of beginners, okay? There's beginners that are born with functional talent, like their voice can match and they're actually doing a lot of things really right, very naturally, but they mentally are beginners. Like it doesn't feel natural to them to allow themselves to use their instrument fully. Sometimes it doesn't feel safe because maybe they were younger, like they were actually born with way more talent than they knew. And sometimes, and I talk about this a lot again in the inner circle, if anything that I'm talking about now like uncovers like an emotional block or emotional stories, just know that that stuff is all covered in the Inner Circle membership. There's artist community to reclaim your voice and your love and your joy and your talent in there. Group lessons is like functional. We do some of that, but it's like group singing lessons, okay? Just so you know. And if you're struggling with what I'm about to say, the Inner Circles actually work for you, okay? But when someone is like I've had literal students like this, they don't even understand how talented they are because maybe they had like an uncle once make a comment or how squeaky their voice was or something. And then they like adopted that as like a fucking personality trait, that they're like a squeaky singer and they should just never sing, right? Like we pick things up in childhood, even if like say you were put in front of the right vocal professional who could hear your potential and hear how to help your voice. Like I do feel like that is one of my gifts here as a person, is like one of my God-given gifts is like hearing a voice and knowing where it's going to go and then knowing what to do with the voice. Like obviously I have training. Some of it's a little bit magical. You use the tools and your magic together to make insane impact. Like my job's insane. So when I've had people like this come, they're functionally like not actually really beginners. Like I would not give them pitch and musician, right? Like they can pitch, they can mix, like some of them can belt, like some of them can do hard things, but like mentally they're like, they don't think they deserve to be there. So that puts them in like a beginner position because they have to prove to themselves that their voice is worth something and that the dream that's in their heart matters. Okay. If I'm tickling anything for this, again, reminder, the Inner Circle membership is where you need to go. Or listen, if you want a place where you're practicing singing, you're like actively singing and growing closer in that relationship with yourself, group lessons is also still a good place for you, but that's where we're going to be training the voice more. Okay. Less of the like emotional element, more of the train. It's both, but yeah. Okay. The other type of like beginner is like, they're beginners, right? Like they can't really pitch well. I would say like that's the absolute beginner. It's like hopefully they're aware that they're not singing the right notes. So one thing to know about a beginner, and there is a common misconception that like if you're born tone deaf, like you can't ever learn to sing, right? Like what is tone deafness? I'll probably do a whole episode on tone deafness and pitch here, especially when we have YouTube. People don't like when I talk about this because they, I have the most haters. I'm like, this is good news, is it not? Like the science proves it. Like, why are you fighting me? Like, I didn't make it up. Like they've done experiments. Like, why are you mad at me? But tone deafness like really isn't a thing. I've been saying this for the last 3 years. Anyway, it is true. Like scientifically, they've done research where tone deafness really isn't a thing. And if it is, it's pretty rare. And even if you do have it, it is still scientifically, it's most of the time it's possible that you can improve, like you can get better. Okay. Now, when I say anyone can learn to sing, I mean anyone can improve their singing. So this is why I brought the talent piece in. Okay. Spectrums of people learning to sing. If you're born with less ability and less natural talent that you have to learn to pitch, you are started farther back on the board, okay? Because that's the most basic level. If you can't sing the right notes and you have to train your brain more than your ear, well, obviously your ear is your brain, but like you're literally making new neural pathways to have your brain and physical connection be pitch accurate. That actually, again, I'll have to do a whole episode on this, but that more often than not actually comes from like playing like a string instrument or singing in childhood and being helped as your brain's developing, learn the accuracy of pitch match. That's the biggest thing. It's like when your brain is forming, like, did you play an instrument? Like, did you play like an instrument where pitching mattered? Because most kids, like, they'll sing, but like a lot of them aren't on pitch because they don't know. They're just like going, they're just going. Okay. So unless you're like taught and instructed, like, hey, let's sing the right notes. Let's get our physical coordination working here. Okay. Some of the pitchiness can do, like when I make videos like this, particularly really passionate ranty ones, like just imploring the dancers, like for the love of fucking God, please take pitch and musician, because the reason you're not getting cast is because you're not singing the fucking right notes. I hate to tell you. Okay. So I make these videos. People probably don't fucking like them, and I don't care because the level of dissonance that exists, like when someone needs pitch help, they need only pitch help to start. And here's where the discrepancy comes in is because, yes, some teachers would argue that like, yes, airflow, yes, physical management, yes, vocal function, technique, breath support. Like, yeah, those have to do with pitch. Yeah. Okay. If they can't match middle C, bitch, that's in chest voice, girl. If they can't sing the right note in chest voice, I don't care. It doesn't matter how much level of technical adjustment you give them or muscle tension or their song choice. That makes me, there's nothing, I'm getting myself angry. There's nothing that takes me to a 10 more than voice teachers that are taking money from artists who are trying to pursue a dream and not in integrity, teaching them what they need. That drives me crazy. Okay, anyway, I'm getting off topic again. There's a question here. Why does musical theater world hate baritones? You know what? Ghost Phoenix. I don't know. I talked about this on the last episode. I'm going to cry. I get so frustrated. I was saying this like in the last episode, like people are been talking about like the BFA belt and everybody on Broadway sounds the same. Yeah, I know, but not everybody who auditions for Broadway sounds the same. They just keep casting the same people that sound the same. Girl, I don't think I have a BFA belt. When you listen to me sing, I have like a fuller sound. I have like a rich, golden age, different era, like Barbara Cook. And that breaks my heart that sometimes I'm genuine. Like, again, I had someone ask me, like, go through my singing journey and my healing journey. One of the hardest parts about healing your relationship with singing is having a voice that feels like it doesn't have a place. Now, is that true? I don't think so. But it feels like it becomes a story based off of like our surroundings, right? So altos, thicker voices, basses, baritones, mezzos, like when we keep singing, that's like representation, like, and this is not meant to like minimize like true representation of like racial and like body image. Like that's not what I'm saying, but like there can be vocal representation too. I think it can have a similar impact on someone when they like their voice is part of their identity and you're getting mirrored back. Like, I don't feel like I belong. Okay. So anyway, if any of this is resonating with you, please. Yeah, I know I go deep. If any of that is resonating with you, the emotional element, the inner circle really goes deep in that. But we can also talk about it in group lessons, but we'll just be doing it from a more functional lens. Okay. What was I saying? Oh, I can't remember. Oh God. I just go into Jennifer Coolidge when I can't remember what I was saying. Someone in the live tell me. I can't remember. Okay. We were talking about different levels of singing. So yeah, if you're a dancer auditioning and you're told that you're pitchy, you need to work on pitch. That's not necessarily vocal technique, but it might be. If you really need help, pitch and musician is the thing that teaches you to match pitch. Okay, moving on. So the next level. So once you know how to sing on pitch, or you're like at least like mentally on board, like to be able to like work on technique. You're not like triggering your body to like do the tools necessary to train your voice. Cause that's a whole other thing. I guess there's like a level 1.5, like a white belt with a yellow stripe on karate. Okay. Where you, that's an insane analogy. And like, it's very true. White belt, yellow stripes, where like maybe you're singing on pitch, but your whole goddamn system shuts down when we have you do a tool. Because you go, that's too loud. I don't like how that sounds. Okay. I guess this story gets carried through every level of vocal development. Like it's like an onion. Okay. We're onions. There's layers. There's stripes on that karate belt. Okay. There's knocks in the post. Okay. We all have some kind of like, I don't like how that sounds. Right. But that somatic response, like that nervous system response to your voice, that's something that you cannot get better until you surpass. And every level, there'll be another kind of tick, boom, of getting your body and your system on board with that next level, that next story that you have in relationship to your voice, right? I've said this before on videos, and I think I stand by it with my whole fucking chest. Studying the voice is a mirror to your internal world. I'll say that again. Studying the voice is a mirror to your internal world. The voice is like a freaking portal to your soul, okay? And your opinions, attachments, and thoughts around your voice are going to reflect in how you treat yourself as you're studying the voice. So the more advanced you get, the more the mirror shines, baby. Okay? So if you're in like level 1.5 white belt yellow stripes, okay? This whole, I have to get my body on board with making a nasty sound or like hooting and like getting on board with that. Hoo hoo. And if you're watching this or you're listening to this and you're at that level and your system, you don't really quite know how to get your system on board, group lessons sound a little too overwhelming, right? That's where you might want to start with one of the self-paced things, right? Again, that's another reason Pillars is a prereq to group lessons, so that you at least have an awareness and a practice like, I can make these weird noises and be okay, and I can do them in front of people, okay? Next level, we're aware of the vocal, the hoops and the push-ups and the pull-ups we're going to have to do with the voice. We're aware of the tools. We're aware. There's a cognizant awareness, which is a lot of people, I think, that follow me at this point too, because of how I talk about things. I'm not like breathing for beginners. Okay. I'm like, hey, your larynx is out of whack. Oh, you don't have enough chord depth. Like when you're talking at things at that level, like again, there has to at least be like a conscious incompetence. Hey, I know I want this result. I'm frustrated that it's not happening. Not like, oh, I just never sing good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's an intelligence that happens when you're aware of your vocal experience in your journey, right? So this is like level, I don't know, like brown belt, right? Like, so you know how to sing somewhat, but this is where what we would kind of cover in Pillars and why it's a prereq is that we need to make sure then what's in our toolbox? Like, what do we work with here? Right? That's this next step, getting familiar with the different registers of the voice. So in this level, and sometimes the prodigies need a little bit of this too. Most of the time they skip to like level 4 once they get on board with the fact that they're a fucking prodigy. But they like go like level 1.5, like, do I deserve to be here, to 10? Like, see, and that's what I mean. Like if you're Simone Biles, if you're like born a Simone Biles, you're born with the talent, you're going to have some kind of beginner shit happen probably with your deservingness of being there, and then you'll just skyrocket and you just surpass everybody. So that's the unfair part about talent, but hey. So, okay, so say we're in this middle level, you're studying voice, and again, I've taught hundreds of people, okay? This is maybe even 1,000 people at this point, like so many fucking people, okay? At this point, you will have to understand first chest and head. The problem is a lot of people that come to me at this stage of this like conscious incompetence, like I had someone on the live earlier be like, how do I mix? Like every time I go from my chest to my head, I can't, right? So they're aware that something's happening, but they're not aware what. So in this section of understanding what is available to us, you have to first understand where you're imbalanced and what isn't lining up, okay? The first thing you'll target is chest. And if you go to a classical teacher, and there's a lot of great classical teachers, so this is no shame on that, but they're only teaching you head voice. I can't tell you, oh my God, I'm gonna make myself mad again. I can't fucking tell you how many students I've had come to me who have taken voice lessons for years, and they can't speak in chest voice on pitch. They're singing like this. What the fuck? And then they come to me saying that they want to sing pop. So sometimes in this stage too, and I'm going to be so for real, even though I was like a natural talent, like I kind of got humbled and brought back to like a lower like level when I had to learn to mix, because my mix it was kind of either like full belt or head. And sometimes I even still struggle with that. Like I know how to do a balanced mix, but it's like not my go-to. Like my head mix, especially that's not full head voice, is like a little bit more on the challenging side. So like as you get more availability to your instrument and more access to doing more vocal functions and different styles, like you're going to have ones that you're better at than you're not, right? But that's what I mean. It's like all of this vocal development, this mirroring is just like levels of yourself. Like, can I be okay that like I'm naturally better at singing a certain way, even if I'm getting mirrored on the outside that that's not as valuable, right? Am I going to reject that inside myself that like my natural voice is worth something? Am I going to beat myself up and like deny and self-abandon and say that my natural voice isn't worth something and that I have to learn to sing a different way? I've had a lot of singers do that. And a lot of this comes out like that discomfort is what kind of leads them to being knowledgeable enough to be like, okay, I need to fix this solution. Okay. Most of the time people in their journey only come to a solution where they get serious about training, or they train with me, or they get into group lessons, or they get a course, or they take privates, right, with me. They are uncomfortable enough and they've related enough to what I've said that brings them there. Okay. So anyway, this first stage, when you're doing like the identification of what needs work, sometimes that is in discovery. Like they've never really had full chest voice before. But the order of that would go chest first, because most of us are actually pretty fucking familiar with chest because we talk here. So you would develop chest first, and then you would develop head. In the way that I study, there's only 2 registers. There isn't a mixed register. I don't think that's helpful, because then it sections it off like it's this own weird unicorn thing that is like ethereal and doesn't really exist. Like, put it in the mix. And it's like, what the fuck? What? When really it's let's understand these 2 registers, and then everything in between. That's not like the most extreme ends of them. Everything in between then becomes a mix. So that's the 3rd level, right? We have understanding chest and head and having those ingredients, and then we learn to blend those ingredients, okay? That's to the stage where we're starting to get vocal balance. So they're understanding, hey, my voice isn't cooperating in this way. I'm understanding what it needs, either in chest or head, that's causing it to be imbalanced, right? I'm working with a teacher then to balance through my voice. And so that's like, now we start to get advanced, right? And this is where I would say like the prodigies that show up that have a lot of talent just don't believe in themselves, or like didn't get the support they needed. They balance pretty fast, or they'll do some extreme coordination pretty fucking fast. Okay. And that ends up being like they get there quickly, and then they can sing harder music fast. But let me also say this. If you skip steps, which you can, we've seen them online, right? You skip to the next step that I'm going to do here in a second, which is taking this balance sound, being able to functionally use all your sound, and then be able to tweak what's going into the vocal function, like an ingredient, add a little more of this, add a little bit of that. And then that changes the vocal style to be a little bit more extreme, so that you're literally singing in a head dominant way, or you're singing in a chest dominant way, which is like more of a mixed belt or belt, right? You can go from middle ground mix then into this extreme or this extreme. But if you only live in these 2 extremes, those are like your only options. Like you won't be able to cross in between or have any choice. So that's why one of the most, like, as far as like more advanced steps go, you have to find the middle first. It gets so much easier if you do that. I skipped that step because no one fucking taught me that. That's why I get so fucking pressed that singers don't know what the fuck's happening. That's why the business exists, okay? So I skipped that step. I only could blend in a heady way, or I would belt everything. There was no in between. So much so I got burned real bad. Because, and I say this, and I do sometimes use it as an advertisement for group lessons, because it's true. My ass couldn't afford or wouldn't, this is not true. My ass wasn't prioritizing investing in my skill. I was too scared to invest in my skill at the time because I was in lack. And I didn't believe in myself enough to know that I was a surefire bet if I placed a bet on myself. Okay, that's the truth. At the time, I was in final callbacks for Broadway, for Katie in Mean Girls on Broadway. It was like me and like maybe one or two other girls, and Sabrina Carpenter got it. Okay? That's how close I was. And, okay, did I compete with Sabrina Carpenter? No, bitch. At the end of the day, can I really know for sure if this was the reason I didn't get the job? No, I can't. I can't read the... I know I did a good job for where I was, but you know what I also had context clues was that the team didn't trust that I could mix Katie. And Katie is a really mixy role. And you know why? Because I had something that's called a work session. And work sessions aren't always like a bad thing, right? They might have just wanted to get to know my voice more. There's many other things that could have happened. But a work session is basically when you go and have like a private coaching with the music team or the director, and they work with you to see if they can get your voice to do other things or how flexible you are. And in this case, they wanted to see if I could mix stars specifically. And the short answer is I couldn't. It was either heady falsetto with air, or it was like too pushed. And that was a really hard song. I see stars. I couldn't make that sound that I just made. It was like, I see stars was how I had to sing it, because it was itching the thing I was talking about, identifying what's keeping you from mixing. That song aggravated the shit out of my inability to mix. Like I could mix somewhat, but like consistently in that difficult spot with that word on that note, like no, I couldn't. And it left me wide open. And I mean, the music director, it's so hard. The music director I worked with, so kind, so professional. Genuinely, I think, wanted me to be able to do it. And also, like, again, I do have to say this. Like, who knows? Like, it was Sabrina Carpenter that got it. Like, I could have almost, like, they could have loved me. Like, I could talk to that person and be like, no, that wasn't the reason. But I knew at least how I felt about myself. I was embarrassed. That I was in final callbacks for a lead on Broadway, and I couldn't sing it the way they needed me to. That was humiliating. And I was really hard on myself. And I continue to be hard on myself. And I'm working on that. But, like, I had a degree. I had made it to the top. And then it didn't go through. Right? And I was like, what the fuck? That shouldn't be the case. That can't be it. Like, to feel, and like, again, this is not like an accurate representation of really happened. This is just my perception at that time. And I was like really in a low place and like feeling a lot of lack. But it really did feel like my dream got ripped out because I didn't have my ducks in a row. Like, not good. You don't want to be in that position, okay? And I use this for group lessons and for pillars because if my ass was in my fucking class at that time and I had been training as an IVA teacher and I had that network of teachers at my disposal and I was regularly in class, I fully trust that I could have had the support to work on that. But I wasn't creating that structure for myself. That's why I say group lessons are important. Because you're actively practicing. It's like you're rehearsing for the success to happen. You are practicing and showing up as if you're training to be the winning horse. You are betting on yourself. That's like, and if you're in a place of lack, you're like, I really can't afford it. Like, there's ways to finance it for yourself. Like, and sometimes like there's two payment plan platforms. There's Klarna, there's Afterpay. I've sometimes if someone's like really pressed and they don't qualify or they're in a country that doesn't do it, sometimes I'll create a payment plan for them. There's many ways to do this. Okay. I know like there's spectrums of like, maybe I'm being too hard on myself. Maybe I'm overthinking that. Like I'm still doing that work. Like I own that fully. And there's undeniability that I don't think I was ready. And they knew that. And they're not going to give a 25-year-old girl a fucking $3 million production. They're not, right? It's not on them. They wanted me to do good. Actually, another thing that I would have benefited from actively practicing all the time, and I wasn't. Guys, this is also humiliating. Oh my fucking God. this is also for the nervous system regulation. I only create things I need, okay? This was such a big fucking deal for me, guys. I'm so embarrassed to tell this. So I've talked about this before, so I can do it. This was such a big deal. My system was so out of whack. I needed drugs. I needed a beta blocker, at least. I was shaking because it was like I had gone on this full journey. I'd studied my ass off for the last 10 years to get to this point. Not all the way right because I couldn't mix it. But I had been working really hard in the way that I could. And I was so nervous and so disconnected from my body and so cracked out in the cocktail of fucking hormones and adrenaline that was pumping through my fucking veins at that point that I sang It Roars. Casey Nicola, Tony Award-winning Casey Nicola, stood up from behind the table and walked over to me, turned me around. So Tina Fey couldn't hear and Jeff couldn't hear, and the whole team and the writers, the lyric writer and the music team, he like pulled me to the corner of the room and was like, "Hey kid, we really like you. You need to calm down. You need to calm down. We're going to need you to calm down. We need you to relax. We're going to need you to relax. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? I'm like opening my eyes in horror, guys. And no wonder I didn't get the fucking job, guys. No wonder I didn't get the fucking job. I couldn't even handle the callback, okay? And so again, if you leave your body during auditions, Inner Circle exists for you. Group lessons would also be a good place for you. Again, when I'm shamelessly plugging these offers, I fucking mean it. I mean it from experience. I made it because I fucked up real bad, okay? Real bad. I didn't have that. I needed it desperately, okay? I mean this with care. Don't end up like me. Do not fucking do that. Do not make it to the finish line and faint. Okay? So, anyway, tears. Okay. So we're talking about different levels. I got way off track. We told a whole story. We went on a whole story time. Okay. Whole story time. Done with story time. I'm sweating right now. That was so exposing. I fucking hate telling that story. Okay. But getting in group lessons. Anyway. So there's this middle spot. Okay. You identifying parts of your voice that need adjusted. You start to learn the tools. Then you start to mix. You start to learn vocal balance. You need that step first. Otherwise you'll end up like me. Okay. And you'll go right to belt. Now I'm going to say something really fucking shady. I mean it. Oh, on the live. Thank you for sharing though. And now growth and helping people. Yeah. Thank you. You know, it's all a learning experience. Everything got shut down from COVID anyway. So it all works out. Like, I don't know. And that's so sad because the people that were on the tour and on Broadway, like, they're good people. They're talented people. It's just, it's just a bummer. A bummer all the way around, one might say. So we're back. So the next step after having vocal balance and having like efficient use, then my loves, if you want to sound like Renee Rapp, those other pieces need to be in place, dude. If you're coming into my studio and you can't match pitch and you've never sung in chest voice before and you sound like this, you're a little far from singing Snow Angel and sounding like Renee Rapp or sounding like Paramore. And I don't mean that to be snarky or disheartening. I just mean that this is actually in integrity and accurate from teaching thousands of hours. Okay? That doesn't mean that you can't get there. You can. You just need to do the other steps. Okay? I've seen people, I have videos of people on my website going from I can't sing on pitch to belting a rock song. It is possible. You cannot skip steps. it will bite you in the ass. And this is the shitty thing I was going to say, but it's fucking true. This is not the roasting other vocal teachers, but it is a shade. I am throwing shade and I fucking own it. And if you don't like it, don't listen. I get into a rage. I get into a feral rage when I see vocal professionals getting paid money for trying to listen. And I understand a viral video of a quick fix. That's not necessarily an entire representation of a teacher's body of work. Okay. But if all they teach is a one tool scream, no. How about no to that? That's wrong. That's gonna, no. And listen, when we get to this step, this whole like, it's a mirror of your internal world. At this point, when you're skilled enough to get vocal balance and then move into mixed belt and move into head dominant mix and masterfully do these styles and sound lit as hell doing them, you start to experience paradox a lot more. What's paradox, Sarah? That doesn't sound like a vocal word. It's true though. Paradox is when two things are true at the same time. Okay? So, yes, belting and mixed belting arguably could be done by anyone making a weird fucking noise. If I was to go, hey, technically, that's a mixed belt. Okay, I hope you could hear it. I really pulled way back so that I didn't pop up the thing. Yeah, I could go, hey, you, and that could be a mixed belt. Does that mean that that's functionally going to hold on every single fucking song that I try to sing in every combination of every vowel and every word? No. That's why you need the other steps. Okay? Because not every vowel and lyric you sing in every pattern of notes is gonna feel good. It's gonna be that easy. Okay? But yes, technically, anyone could belt right now. Yes. And belting the really hard songs, it's like belting a really hard song. It's like Snow Angel or Love on Top or Wizard and I or God, fucking, I don't know, Paramore, any of these songs, Brandon Urie, okay? If you take any of these songs, I would equate it to going skiing. And maybe you've like worn skis a couple times. You've done the bunny hills. You're like, yeah, I can sing a song. Hell, maybe you even did a blue and you made it down and you didn't die. It's like going to the double black diamond moguls with glades, like trees, rocks, fucking death. Okay. You are at the foot of this double black diamond and you went, oh, I can do a blue. I can ya-ya, raise my ya-ya. I can do that. I can do that here. And then they wonder why they can't get the fuck through it. Girl, you don't have the vocal function. You've never done a mogul in your life, bitch. What are you talking about? No, you fucking can't do that. I mean, you can learn. You got to practice. That's the thing that doesn't sell, guys. That's the problem. That doesn't fucking sell. People don't want to buy that. People don't want to learn that it's hard. That doesn't make money to learn it's hard. It's hard. It's hard and it's easy. That's the infuriating part of it. It's easy to do sometimes and tap it and get the function going and be like, oh, that's all it is? Okay. And it's hard to do it on every shape and every way, right? So yeah, you could probably take your skis off and sit on your butt and scooch down the mountain of the double black diamond, but did you really get down through it gracefully and not break a sweat? Probably not. Probably not. Okay? Does that make sense? So it's both. So, and again, the higher you get in your level, the more paradox you experience, right? It becomes, and that's why we talk about it in balance, because you're balancing ingredients in different ways, especially when you're to this level, right? There is no, this is the blanket way to do it. Everything at this level then, when you're like advanced, comes into a scale. What pressure of air balance, of vocal fold closure, of pharyngeal tilt, of laryngeal position, of mouth shape, of creating formants, adding certain vowel layers to add brightness or thickness. And like this, on this end of the paradox, how I'm explaining this, that's very technical, okay? That's why you better be at least consciously fucking competent, right? To even like play with this shit. Otherwise, your brain's gonna explode. You can't fucking do that, right? And eventually, one of the final levels here is that hopefully your vocal balance, and then eventually your ability to land into chest dominant mix, your ability to land in head dominant mix for style is then unconsciously competent, that your brain doesn't have to think of 10 fucking functional. It's impossible. That's why it's layered. To do it proficiently, you can't just jump into it unless you're born a prodigy. Everybody has to learn that. Sorry, you have to practice. You learn it in levels. You learn it as a layer of an onion, okay? So anyway, when you get to this point, then there's even a little more that happens. And this is this like degrees of balancing, then it's then constantly a balancing act. When you're pro level and you're a versatile fucking singer, because I don't just train basic bitch fucking singers. When I train a singer, like if someone's in contract with me and I'm mentoring them for 4 fucking months, which that is like, if I teach privately, that is the only way I do. Like people have to apply. And I actually don't talk about it unless it's on the podcast, because you got to be serious, bitch. Like it's an investment. You and me are in it, bitch. We're spending a lot of time together. This is not we're just gonna fucking toe dip here. There's so many other things for you to do if you're just not sure where you're at. But if you want to work privately, I'm not even open for enrollment for that because it's sold out 4 months in advance already. Okay. So that's when I say, if you want to work with me, the only way to work with me right now, especially, is group lessons. We do the same stuff. It's way cheaper and you still get the same attention. It's just way less of it compared to 2 hours a week with me. Okay. So anyway, when we are to this level and we're able to do subtle nuances, this is where the constant dance comes in. When you're a versatile singer, when we've trained in all these functions, you have to understand that if you're singing a certain style for a certain amount of time, you're going to get locked into that style and you're going to go even further into that extreme of that style. So say you booked Elphaba and you're singing Elphaba for a year, okay? You're going to be really locked into chest dominance. So that's why people talk about cross-training as a way of like cross-training styles, like singing opera, doing a different vocal function, different ingredients to help keep their instrument pliable and flexible. So they don't get locked into a certain way of singing. You can uncondition and recondition different styles. It just takes time and it's annoying. Okay. So say like this happened to me. I was like training for an opera competition this time last year. I was singing a lot of opera. I sound gorgeous fuck on opera. I don't even, as far as like opera training goes, like I'm not an opera singer. I'm a like musical theater girl, trained pedagogy, contemporary teacher. But I can sing opera very naturally. I just don't claim to be an opera singer because I just respect the fucking, like, I don't have my master's in opera, right? Like, I didn't study language. I haven't lived in that head only space. But when I do give it any attention, my voice loves it. Like, I can do it pretty easily, right? So if I gave it more attention, it probably would bloom a lot faster than the mixed belt has. Let's just tell you that, okay? So last year when I was singing opera all the time, I was intensely training. I was singing a couple hours a day to train in opera so that I could catch up, right? Like I could like mock like, hey, I can do this, right? And I could, sort of. So when I was doing that, I tried to come back in and sing, what was it? Oh, it was Titanic. I was trying to come back in and sing Titanic for an audition. So it was like Celine Dion, like really fucking hard, high mixed belt. Those are such extreme styles that it's like, and this is why I teach a lot of people who sing opera and can't sing contemporary, because again, they're not aware of the difference of the ingredients that go into different sounds. And they're not aware of how to isolate those things and change it. there's subtle. And again, remember, the more advanced you get, the more nuanced the degrees. So what's Titanic? It's coming to Broadway. It's Titanic is a Celine Dion musical. It's a parody of Titanic. It's really funny, actually. It's really fucking funny. I was going in for Celine, though, so it was really hard. So I was having a really hard time singing it after singing opera, because I was locked so hard into the opera world that basically what it did to my belt is it like way over blew, and everything was kind of shouty and heavy because you approach singing in a different way. It's just like a completely different vocal function, okay? So when you get to this level, cross-training is important in staying flexible between, but the nuance in the way that you shift between styles is a lot different, but also subtle. See, that's what I mean, like paradox. Like, yes, there are differences. They're not huge, but they kind of are, but they're not. And so if you haven't done all the other levels of the cake or the onion, you haven't peeled back all the layers, you're going to probably listen to me and be like, what the actual fuck are you talking about? Okay. I'm probably going to sound like a goddamn idiot, right? You're going to be like, it's easy. And then you're going to go raise your ya and wonder why everything sounds flat. Okay. So anyway, I ended up, so I was at this level, and now recently in the last couple levels, now we're navigating the final, like, it's like these are just the never ending flip-flops. What I just said, bouncing between styles, going from vocal balance to chest dominant to head dominant to vocal balance to chest dominant to head dominant. The next part is the deepest part. And this is uncovering layers of your nervous system and your subconscious and your relationship with your voice, and actually returning, this is the fucking kicker, guys, returning back to your original love of singing. Can you believe it? Can you believe that that's the final boss? Can you? Because it's the fucking truth. It's the fucking truth. I can't tell you that the last level is to go, oh, it gets to be easy again? I get to try to not think about it again? I get that unconscious competence, just enjoy singing. By that point, you've trained so hard and mind-fucked yourself so much. That's the hardest part. That's where the deeper level healing comes into place. That, like, I kid you the fuck not. And that's why when I work privately with people, they have to apply, because a lot of the work that we end up doing, there's actually a full episode on this on the Singer's Path podcast. If you're just joining this live, I talk about this with a client that I did this. Her name's Stephanie J. Park. Make sure you go listen to the podcast, the Singer's Path podcast, if you're on live, because this show's really great. I pour a lot into it. I love it. I love doing this, and I love connecting with you on here. But in this episode, we talk about when you're working with someone at that level, the type of care and the difference of nuance and paradox and really somatics and energy and nervous system, like the level that people need of support is way different. Like, sure, they might need to learn some vocal function stuff to balance and rebalance and explore different textures and get that to that conscious competence or unconscious competence. But at the end of the day, guys, it's about letting go. It's about letting go and just fucking singing. And you know what? There's a couple unicorn people. And I know I said this a little bit with shade at the beginning of the podcast, so maybe I rescind a little bit of that, where people are nervous to take voice lessons, because I think another thing that I didn't mention is that they're nervous because they don't want it to become too complex and they want it to stay intuitive, and they want it. And you know what? You do reserve that right. Like, I get that, especially when you're at this level, right? Like, that's all you want. When you have all the functionality in the world, all you want is to fucking sing a song again and not have to think about it anymore. And sometimes, and unfortunately, I have seen this in clients, and we do this work when it becomes the deeper work. Again, if you need deeper work support, the group lessons can help with that, but the deep work is in the inner circle membership. That's different, but this is where we unpack this, okay? All of the layers, all of the stories of your life that form and fucking latch onto your voice, that's where like energy work comes into place. Like, I kid you the fuck not, like the most extreme, I think you probably heard this before, and I'm never claiming to like offer therapy. I'm not a therapist, right? When we made the Inner Circle membership, which does offer like self-help like practices, it's good for your like emotional health and your like your ability to care for yourself. It was co-created with experts, like co-created with therapists, co-created with somatic practitioners, co-created with career coaches, money coaches, I've invested thousands of dollars to learn and heal from these people, and we've created something together, and they're going to teach in there. But guys, like none of this is ever therapy because you're not in a therapeutic relationship with them, right? I'm not a therapist. I never advertise that. And there's also like sometimes people will like kind of casually off the cuff be like, oh my God, voice lessons are like therapy. Like all the pros say that, like, oh, my voice teacher is basically my therapist. Like I said, paradox, but we're fucking not. We're fucking not your therapist. We never said we were. We're never claiming to be, okay? But we do hold space for people at that level, an incredibly vulnerable position, to have a safe place to work on this like portal to their internal world again. Another reason why finding someone that understands the weight of that and the responsibility of that, especially with, say you have younger voices that, you know, are, you know, you're being a teacher and you're like leading them through. Being a teacher in any level is like a God-given role. Like, I don't care where you teach, like leading people to their next step is like holy in my mind. And not like, I'm not proclaiming that I'm holy. I'm saying that like, I think teachers can make the biggest impact of like people on the planet. And if you're a good teacher, it's your fucking job to be a teacher. Like it's your calling. Okay. That's a tangent thing. I love that because I think singing is one of the most vulnerable things you can do. I agree. And that's what I mean. It's like when you're pushing through all these levels and you're pushing through all these layers of studying something, it does ultimately all come back to that. And sometimes at this level, it can get really uncomfortable too. Because sometimes we're chasing having a perfect outcome or being enough, or you're uncovering layers that you maybe didn't appreciate the voice that you had as it was. You didn't love what you had until you like drifted away from it. Like sometimes it can feel like you're in this like weird strained marriage or you're like estranged from your love because you focus so much on making it something that was just so hard for it to become that like part of you denied what you were good at. Do you know what I mean? It can be like really emotionally exhausting. It can be such a mind fuck. It's a mind fuck. You can hear my cat again. She's outside. It absolutely can be a mind fuck. So again, that's why I created, there's a different thing for that because that's a whole fucking book on that. Okay. Anyway, I would say because today we got to wrap up this episode because goddamn, this is long. I was like, this will be short. Just no, it won't. Okay. I don't fucking skip around. Okay. If any of these things make sense to you, right? You can maybe just listening to this episode and listening to the different levels. And maybe you're like, hey, wait, like that's kind of where I am. Like, I see you in every level. If you need support in any of the levels, I made things at every level. Because again, accessibility, giving people things that work, and giving things that like, I know like that are needed, that don't really exist. And also I've been on each of those levels and had a hard time finding resources that could actually help me get to that level in a more efficient way or more straightforward way, like kind of learn the hard way, right? So when I had the money and the knowledge and the training and the structure and discipline and safety to make it, like I made it. So for anyone listening back, again, the main thing that I want to pique your interest on, just a reminder, group lessons there's only a couple spots left. They're only open a few more days, especially if you're hearing this episode. Students love them. They never leave. So that's why if they do leave, it's because they have like a conflict or work or something like that. So these are pretty special spots. If you like anything I'm saying here today on the live or on the podcast, and you're like, damn, I need to work with her. And sometimes when we have that pull, that's like a little niggle, a little like a little thing that is it's trying to point you in a direction to connect with maybe your next medicine or like your next thing in your life that's going to lead you to your next level. Okay. So if that's the case and you want to work with me, you've stayed on the live, you've listened to the podcast all the way through, God bless you. Okay. First of all, if you're on the live, make sure you follow the Singer's Path podcast because I do so many episodes like this. And two, get into the group lessons. If you're feeling that pull, get in there. Again, reminder, so that it works as well as it does, you do have to have a prerequisite pillars. If you're signing up for the first time and it's pillars and group at the same time, you can do that. Just know it's an investment. But once you have pillars, you have it and you'll use it forever. It's not like I'm just going to watch it once and never use. No, you continue to train with it. It's that piece that I was talking about in the journey where you're balancing out your voice, right? You're finding what's up with it and you're continuing to balance. Balance never stops. You just get better at it and better at creating ingredients. Okay. If you have any other questions about like, hey, like you were kind of talking about this certain level or this certain thing, and I'm not really sure, I couldn't do group lessons this time or something, or I'm interested in one of your other resources, like this is what's happening. You guys can always email me at singerspath@gmail.com. I love connecting with you guys and I'll answer your question. If you're like, I don't know what would be the best fit for me. I'm here and, I kind of want to do this, but I'm not sure. I will point you in the right direction so that you make a wise investment and it works for you, right? Sometimes I'll have people, I don't even know how this fucking happened, but sometimes I'll have people be like, oh, advanced mix is too hard. And I was like, it's called advanced mix, girl. Like, I don't know, it's the highest level. Like, you got on a black diamond. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you bought that. Like, what do you want me to do? like, I can't, it's intellectual property. It's online. Once you buy it, you can't return it. Right. So, anyway, all that to say, if you're not sure if it's a good fit, just email me. There's 2 levels of group lessons. There's an intermediate class in the evening. There's a pro class in the afternoon. If you're not sure about that, give me an email. But again, registration ends January 17th. You have to have pillars. That's so that it works the best and we can work on songs. Trust me, you will love it. But if you're listening to the podcast, I just really appreciate you being here today. Thanks for listening. This is a really long one. It's the kiss of death. When I say it's going to be a short episode, it's double what I want it to be. So I should just never say that again. Just don't say that again because that's a lie. I'm lying when I say that. I'm lying to myself. Anyway, all right. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, wherever you're listening from. If you love this episode, leave us a 5-star written review, singerspath@gmail.com. And we'll enter you, if you email it to us, we'll enter you to win a free lesson with me. And with that, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. This helps me get this information out to more artists all over the world. Let's work together to spread the joys of music. Until next time, I'm your host, Sarah Bishop, signing off from the Singer's Path podcast. Thanks for listening.